Yes, a very good evening to you tuned in to UBC TV. Welcome to another edition of the One-on-One with Michael Jordan Lukomwa on UBC TV. Like I said, it's a new program, and we started it with the presidential candidates, I beg your pardon, of the 2021 general elections. And we have so far had a number of them. I have another gentleman this evening who seeks to take over the top leadership of this beautiful country, Uganda. He's a senior journalist, my elder in that line. He is a former president of the Uganda Sports Press Association, currently a pastor, and he wants to lead this beautiful country, Uganda. Join me, welcome on the show, Mr. Kabuleta Kiza Joseph. Sir, you're most welcome on the show.
Thank you.
We're so delighted to have you.
I'm so glad to be on UBC TV.
Okay. Who is Joseph Kabuleta? We know you, many of us have seen you personally. I used to have a teacher who would refer to your articles in our classes. You get? So we may know you in different capacities, but as a man who wants to lead us nationally, who are you? That are the part of you that we may not know.
I don't know if there's so much of me that you may not know. I am 48 years old. I am born in Hoima. I have been, as you said, I've been a journalist. I did some training in engineering before that. I've been a journalist, and then I've also been, as you've said, a pastor. And I guess what you can say is I have not been somebody whom you can nail down to one particular thing, because I believe life is about callings. So when one calling comes up, you take that one and move with it. So I am a man of many hats. That's what you could say.
Okay. What kind of Uganda do you have in the mind? What picture, that picture of the country that you have as a Ugandan who has lived for some good time, worked in it for a very long time, what kind of country is in your mind?
The Uganda I have in mind is one which is very beautiful and old. And when I came out, it's one of the things that I wrote in my statement when I came out in July 1st to coming for the presidency. I said that we're a country that is blessed in the air with the best climate and good weather. We're a country that is blessed on the ground with very, very arable land. Almost more than 80% of our land is arable and actually fertile and cultivatable. We're a country that is blessed beneath the ground with oil, minerals, and so on. So we are blessed in every way that you can think. We are blessed with lakes. We are blessed with a lot of agriculture, of tourism potential. So I'm looking at a country that has not come anywhere close to its potential in terms of generating wealth for its citizens.
Even when we have it?
Even when we have the wealth. There's absolutely no doubt we have the wealth. And there is no reason why we should be lagging out behind where we are. There was that recent report judging by GDP per capita which put us as the third poorest country. Now I can't think of a country that can be this blessed naturally and be this poor. It's maybe the only other country, because DRC is behind us. Actually, would be said it's one country which is even, has a lot more of those things. But then we are not that, and we are supposed to be, aspiring to be better. And the reality is that we are underperforming in every way possible, And there's a certain feel among Ugandans that this is how things are going to be, this is how things should be. They don't even want to look ahead.
Look at it as normal.
Exactly. They think it is normal. And yet when somebody comes from outside and comes here for a while, I was campaigning somewhere in Masindi, and I met a woman from Tennessee. And she told me that, I've been listening to somebody introduce me to your YouTube videos and what, and I just wish you'd be president of this country. I said, why? He said, because you talk like you know this country. Because she said, I see a lot of wealth in this country and I see a lot of poverty, and the two are coexisting, and it just doesn't make sense. And so I told her, so you can also see that we shouldn't be this poor. She said, you should not even close. There is a lot of things going in this country, and when you look around, the people seem to be downtrodden, discouraged, and almost as if life is going to be like that. Many people have just settled to survive, and so they are looking for the best ways they can survive, and so very little aspiration to make themselves or this country better. Okay, even if they might have aspirations for themselves, they are nothing close to what aspirations they would have for themselves if they were in a country which was better governed than this. So you see, people have, downsized their dreams to fit into the general Ugandan dream. Okay? And the Ugandan dream is a very small thing, a very small thing, very little aspiration.
What do you mean by that? Very small thing. That don't we dream bigger as Ugandans?
No, we don't. No, we don't. Because I'll tell you this. You go, for instance, to Kenya. When somebody is successful in anything in Kenya, the first thing that comes to mind is I'm spreading to Uganda, I'm spreading to South Sudan, I'm spreading to Rwanda, you understand? Ugandans don't think like that. You find people who are very successful businessmen here, and they are content to just keep here. There are a few, of course, who are beginning to break those barriers. But in Kenya, even people who are modest businessmen, their mindset is that we should dominate the region. And it's so ingrained in them because the Kenyan dream is bigger. Okay, it's not in
this kind of a country as a president. A journalist with your background, you said you're also an engineer, a pastor. How do you fit in as president for a country like that?
Now, I believe, of course, the reason there is such a big contradiction between our natural resources and our actual wealth is because of bad leadership.
Who we are and how we are.
Yeah. It's because of bad leadership. And that's what actually made me come out, because I saw that nobody is really talking about the issues. Everybody is talking about the Uganda that is. Okay?
And that is a false accusation.
No. Let me go ahead.
Okay.
Everybody is talking about what is, and from the perspective of what there is. Okay? This is what we can do to this, to that, and so on. Now, there is a picture of real issues that can be raised here, especially commercial issues. Actually, for the most part, as far as I know, very few people are talking about things like the personalization of national resources. I don't even know very few people, nobody, until I came up and started changing the discussion. Even before I came out for presidency, I started writing social media things which I called rants, particularly to change people's mindset away from very petty conversations into where the resources on the resources of this country are. I wrote about the oil that is being stolen, and there was a lot of denial until eventually, of course, it was found out to be true when it was found out that we actually listed among the countries which are crude oil exporters. And yet, officially, we are not supposed to be exporting crude, you understand? But we know that we're talking about the first thing, one of the first runs I wrote was about gold, where it is coming from, and how come we're exporting a lot of gold from this country, and how come it's hardly paying any taxes. I wrote about the coffee law. I wrote about everything because I looked and saw what our income earners, what are things from which Ugandans can earn money, and I saw all those things are in the hands of a few people. And nobody was talking about that. Nobody, and I mean nobody. Until those conversations started. Now I'm hearing so many. When I came up and started bringing them and saying, why should national resources be personalized? And
among a few people.
Among a very, very few people, then suddenly the talk started to change. And people started to feel that, actually, these are our resources. Because the president would come out and say, my oil, and nobody even thinks that is weird. How can he call it his oil? This is Uganda's oil. He's going to go and leave it here.
Maybe in capacity as a Ugandan. Because I may also say that.
No, he was telling other Ugandans not to talk about his oil. So if I came and told you don't talk about my oil, you would look at me and say...
A sense of ownership.
Yes. And it's not just even in word, because you could say it's a slip of tongue. But it's not just in his words, it's in his actions, okay? And not just the oil, but all the other national resources. So these are the conversations I wanted to be, spoken. And I was seeing that, everybody's just saying, change. And I saw that actually you can get change, because ultimately it's going to come. But what if somebody comes and just does the same thing, and you just have from Museveni personalization to another personalization? Somebody comes, cuts his own slice of the national resources, and enjoys it, and then you also have to and then and it has happened in other countries. You see, it has actually happened a lot in other countries, and I've seen other countries which have yearned for change until they got it, then they realized there was not too much change in it after all. Totally. I can give you the example of DRC, where Mobutu change 33 years, change, then it happens. Then you realize that actually it was a smoke screen. It was actually even some people who were interviewed. I was seeing an interview in some of international channels where they were 10 years after Mobutu had even died, they were longing for the Mobutu, the Zaire of Mobutu. And they were saying at least that was a nation. Now we seem to be disorganized, split in factions and so on. So we don't want to have a kind of change where we regret. We have to organize ourselves in a way where from here we go to something better. I want us 5 years from now to look back to the to the bad dream that has been this NRM and say, man, we are glad that is over, because now we are seeing the kind of Uganda that we have. We don't want anybody thinking nostalgically about this regime, because we'll be in a better regime. We don't want anybody to even imagine that in any way possible this regime is better than what we shall have at that time. No. And to answer your question, I am the person that I see fit who has consistently spoken about these issues, okay, and who has them at heart and who can deliver them, and who is not offering an improvement on what we have. I am offering a total overhaul of this system.
At that very point, a total overhaul of what has been here for some good time will not be a one-off but a process. That process involves a lot of things. Here you are now, a man serving God, a pastor at that. You must lie at some point, you must harm some people, you must take some decisions that may cause problems to some people, tears and all of that. Are you ready for this? And how will the two fuse? The spiritual background that you have right now and the games that involve taking political decisions. Aren't you going to have a contradiction in your life as a person?
No. Everyone in leadership makes decisions.
To take some decisions.
No. Everybody in leadership has taken decisions which were controversial, but maybe even later on turned out to be the best decisions. And even in whatever leadership I've been in, I've been accused of being controversial, because I know what I think is because you can't have a consensus on everything. And people who try to have consensuses on everything actually end up being the worst leaders, or no leaders whatsoever at all. So all the things that you're talking about, I don't believe I would have to lie, you see, but I would have to speak the uncomfortable truth, even if it's uncomfortable, okay, and explain to people this is the scenario we have here. And then do not think that there is any place, even in my faith, for wrongdoers to be handled with kid gloves just because, I'm a pastor. First of all, there are systems in the country which take care of that, okay, and those systems stay in place. But what I do not want is people to feel that they are suppressed in any way. I want to feel that they have the freedom of expression. I want the media to feel that they can express themselves whichever way they want, okay? And maybe they will be bad by their justice, fairness.
Involved in oil, in tax
not a chance. Now here is the thing.
And you will not have to handle them the way you will handle those that you don't know.
What are you talking about? We've had leaders who have handled their own just the way they handle everybody else. And then my own are not going to be doing oil. Oil is going to be done by people who have experience in oil. I don't know anybody around.
What I mean, with areas where you have to make reverses of some decisions that were made a time ago, you will find people that really you cannot allow to be taken to prison or things like that, just as you think that some reverses have to be made. How will you handle that?
Here is the thing. We are not coming with like all this retribution, okay, and as if revenge sort of mentality. No. We are coming to change. So if you have something that belongs to the nation and you had been deceived that it belongs to you, we'll say no, sorry, it belongs to the nation. So hand it over to the nation, and that's it. Now the thing is, we are not coming to start looking backwards, because there is a lot you can look backwards to, okay? But we are coming to create a country where the wealth of this nation belongs to the people of this nation, and the people of this nation know that they have a stake in the wealth of the nation, because it's a lot of it. And then the things about the discoveries of natural resources are made open. They are not handled secretly, okay? And what the country is doing is made open, and people can determine how they are going to
share it.
Strategize to make sure that they get a part of this wealth, okay? And then we tell them, this is how we've gotten this wealth, this is what we are going to do with it, and this is how it's going to influence your lives and so on, either in infrastructure, either in easing of taxes in certain places, because now we have all these, or other places but somehow people have to understand and be a sharing of information, because there is an openness. I'll give you an example. When Kenya exported crude for the first time, they announced it that now we've started exporting crude oil.
Yes.
And our first export, we made $12 million. And even the Kenyans were saying, but that's little money, you're lying. It was more than that. I don't know if it was, but my point is, at least they declared it. We had been doing that for more than, as I think by my estimate, close to even 10 years of exporting crude oil.
Exportation of
crude oil, yes. And nobody is even saying anything. And people know it. You see, they know it. Now, when they arrested me for writing that thing,
it is a few of people like you
let me tell you,
who have actually picked interest.
let me tell you, no, people choose not to know certain things, and I choose to know certain things. Now, when they arrested me and took me in there and they were questioning me at CMI, they told me, where do you get this information from? I said, people know it. I'm just the one who is courageous enough to write about it.
Maybe
so you
they
think?
also did know.
No, they know.
That's why
They know. They know. So where do you get this information from? I said, no. Don't you think that just because you're not seeing it in newspapers or in that, people don't know it? People knew it. People were seeing the trucks passing. Okay? The people who live in Hoiba who see the trucks passing every day. And
some of them do some small businesses with the operators at the site.
No, it's very discreet. They are not, those people don't stop anywhere. They just drive there. There's some car escorting them, and they don't just pass through and go. But people know. Somebody even took a picture of them and sent it to me. And I used it in my runs and said, what are these trucks carrying? Because they are here every time. So they're either carrying sewage, and the oil wells have a lot of sewage there, or there is something they are carrying. And it was obvious they were carrying oil. And then I also went and checked on the export websites, and I saw Uganda listed among the top 100 crude oil exporters. So I knew that these are carrying crude oil. But it's not yet official. And here I am being tortured for it. I said, no, people know these things. And so many other things. So the issue was and is that people choose not to know certain things. But now we come out and be open, transparent about everything to do with wealth. Those people declared, this is our first batch of crude oil. And, it was discussed, it was put there.
It was
public information. Now that's the thing. We don't want all this. Now nobody, we are just seeing we are exporting about 1.2523 billion dollars worth of gold. Nobody knows where it comes from. Does it come from Uganda? But of course, because it is exported and somehow it has to go through processes, that information cannot be hidden.
So now, how would you describe the business of politics in Uganda? From the time you started the rants, like you call them, up to now where you have even gone into campaigning for presidency, how would you describe the political business in Uganda, and do you see yourself in it till when you see a score of what you target?
Absolutely. I have to be in it until there is actually, to use your very words, there is a score in what I target. Because I'm not in it for any other reason apart from we deserve better. That's my mindset, that we deserve better. Then I look at all the people around and I say we still deserve better. And I'm being very honest, we deserve better. We deserve, because you can tell what is being shaped by somebody from the way they speak. And you listen to them and their ideas and what they bring out, and you say there is something that I want us to talk about. Because here is the thing, every country, a lot of all the conflict we have as countries, even without countries,
yes,
a lot of it is about resources. People do not fight about anything else these days. Okay? Purely resources. When you look, there was a time when people used to fight. There was times even when wars were started over a woman. Nobody's going to fight a war now over a woman. Okay? There were times when wars were started over egos. So, you did this, how could you do this and what, and faith. But nobody's fighting wars over faith even any longer. Now you saw there was this flurry of arguments between Israel and so many of the Arab nations, which people had thought were impossible. And what do you think brought that? They sat there and said it's in our commercial best interests
to stop this nonsense.
Because there is money to be made. Okay? And when it is presented there that you can make money, you're losing a lot of money through your belligerence. Just calm down, be less angry, accept that these people exist, they accept you exist, you make money. And just by deals, financial deals, diplomacy is made. And now, all over the world, diplomacy is about money. Okay.
I was reading about you, the person, and somewhere I met a segment with a big headline, Controversies. They were telling academic background, what now, Controversies. You're someone looked at as a man who solves problems in a way where you don't mind who will be affected or what, as long as you get the solution. Is that you?
No, that's not me. The thing is, I care about people being affected, but I also have enough leadership to know that if I'm doing something in people's best interests, sometimes people don't necessarily know what. That's why people need leadership. Okay? Sometimes they don't necessarily know what is.
When you don't agree with somebody, you go for them head on.
You have to understand there are different ways you handle certain things. Now, there was a different attitude I had as an engineer. Okay, there's a different attitude I have as a journalist. Okay. Because a journalist is supposed to be critical, is supposed to point out all the society, misnorms and what is wrong in society, and basically bring leadership to book in a way, to account. So that's the work of a journalist, and I think I did a very good job in my area doing that, where you have to make sure that people do not do certain things because they know they'll be put out to light, and people will know what they are doing, because there's a journalist called Kabuleta who is doing that. Now, when I'm as a pastor, there is a different attitude I carry with me. Okay, and now some people think that because you are critical as a journalist and a huge critique of this and that, now you carry that into personal. That's not how it works in this thing. Okay, but
people fail to differentiate it from your personality.
No, my personality is different because I'm a firm person, that's for sure. I do not shy away from controversy. But if you notice, the controversy never surrounds something that is of my personal benefit. Okay, it never is about that. Maybe that's what people don't understand. They think... No, they understand it. They do understand it, because it is never about my personal benefit. They understand it. They just want a certain level of appeasement and so on. But it's never about my personal benefit. And there's very little that I do where I'm thinking selfishly as myself, and I can tell you for sure that even my coming out to stand, it is nothing selfish, because before I came out to stand about 1.5 years ago, I went across the country, okay, from place to place, asking myself, how can the people in this place be made rich? Okay, because I knew my thing was going to be financial liberation, which you've had, and the thing is, we have this disparity which I've told you between the wealth of the country and the absence of wealth of the people of the country. So my question is, if we had good leadership, how can I make these people rich, place by place? Now, there is not one brush that can fit the whole country. Yes. Different places have different things. So I go there and I sit down with people and ask them, how did these industries close? How come these industries are now dysfunctional? How come the industry here is not working? Why is the Kirembe mines not working? Why is the production of this not functional? Why did they stop this? Why is this not like? And you ask so many questions, and you ask old people, and they have all answers. And so you say now at their level, no, because they understand what the frustrations. Because what liberation, when I use financial liberation, the word liberation means there has been frustration, or at least bondage. So people are in some kind of bondage. They need to be freed. Okay? So now we ask you, what is the bondage? What has been put there as in form of bondage that has stopped you from advancing to where you're supposed to be? So
in one of your rants, you hit hard somebody I would call your former employer.
Yes.
You agree? Why?
Because okay, let me first finish this before I answer that. Okay. So then I understood what each place has to have. So when I come out and I say financial liberation, I'm not thinking about myself, absolutely nothing, or even anybody around me. I'm thinking about those people there. And when I go and talk to them, they actually realize that. Now that's the thing I've had, because when I go and meet people down at the campaign stalls, or recently I was in Bududa and I spoke to a group of people, and they were shocked at how much I understand their problems. I told them, now if I solve this and this and this, what excuse would you people have for being poor? Tell me, what excuse would you have for being poor? Then they said, the truth is, we have no excuse. If you did that, we would have no excuse. Then I said, now that's the first thing I'm going to do. Now what you have to do is go and vote for me. They said, we will vote for you. But just promise us that that's what you're going to solve. Now, I didn't ask them. I'd already done that earlier. So I came when I knew what so every place I said, if I solved ABC, what excuse would you have for being poor? And I removed all these bottlenecks. So now I want to create a Uganda where in 3 years, nobody has an excuse for being poor. Because there is a freedom for you to pursue wealth, and there is an enabling environment. There is a lot of support from your government, and even a lot of push from your government to kickstart you because you've been in limbo for 35 years. So, now answering your question.
Yeah, because why am I bringing it?
No,
probably it is why people think you do it with selfish reasons.
No. I'll tell you this, because he was joining with certain forces who were fighting freedom of worship.
Okay.
He was, they were part of some religious law, which they're even passing right now. They are trying to outlaw certain ways of worship. And that's one thing we can never ever allow. Okay, everybody has the freedom to worship the way they want to. And now it's not just my faith that they're attacking every faith. Where they are saying now nobody can, you saw it was actually in that very newspaper where that guy, is the boss, saying that nobody can come up and say that my religion is the only right one. But religion, by very description, means that you believe you are the right person. So I believe I am. A Muslim believes he is. A Buddhist believes this is the right one. You understand? Everybody believes, and they have the right to say that mine is the right one. Otherwise, why would I be there? Now, so now they are attacking that. So he was part of a group of people who would sit, and he was the outlet for that. They would sit, discuss certain very sinister things, and I know the people who are behind them. Okay, and then he had been sent to come and destroy reputations of pastors. So that's why, as part of the whole process of changing and creating this scenario where we need to come up with a law to so these guys are very rowdy. So these guys are very rowdy. Where you create a scenario where there is rowdiness and these people need. So he was part of that outlet. That's why you say one time he said that newspaper wrote that my pastors bury heads of dead people in under their pulpits. We told him where, show us, take us. That's a very big criminal offense. It cannot end in a newspaper. So you see, there was a certain. So I discovered that he needed to become in the spotlight a bit.
Okay, so that is how he solves some problems, not for selfish reasons, but he chooses the right way to handle somebody. That is Joseph Kabuleta for you, and he's a presidential candidate. We thank you so much for watching. We're taking a very short break. On return, we want to look at what he sees as the main challenges of this country, and then he will tell us what his manifesto has. Then we'll look at the political situation in Uganda and how it favors him as an independent candidate to be president of Uganda. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy this break as we get back to you. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching UBC One-on-One with Michael Jordan Lukomwa, and this evening we have presidential candidate Joseph Kabuleta. We have discussed a lot, and now we want to get to more other things to do with issues to do with the nation. Mr. Kabuleta, welcome back from the break.
Thank you.
What are those main challenges that could be part of your inspiration to stand for presidency, or that you look at and see Uganda really facing?
Poverty, that's it. Poverty. And until you've moved around this country, you don't know what there is extreme poverty in some places where you've been to, and you see that do these people in a year handle more than 20,000 shillings from start to end of year? Like where there is extreme poverty. And now the funny thing is, a lot of those people are living in places where they have the ability, given some push and help, to come out of that, of those doldrums. So it's poverty, and it's sad because, as I told you, that disparity between what we have as a country in terms of resources and ability, and then how poor the people are. Okay, and the only reason that is because of bad leadership.
Help me connect leadership and poverty.
Now, when you're living in this country, you should. That's it's the leadership we've had is actually the cause of poverty.
How?
Because they use poverty as a political tool.
Because again, we have people who can afford a meal, people who can afford personal transport, people who can afford some good life in the same country. How do they make it?
No, everybody is supposed to afford that. You see, that's the problem when you've downsized your typical Ugandan, you've downsized your dreams. That, you know, when I came out, I was in a TV station and somebody said that you're crying, you're talking about how people are poor, but you're putting on a suit. I said, how have you really reduced wealth to a suit? Okay, now you've downsized your thing that you things which are supposed to be like go without saying. A meal,
actually, this is what
proper transport.
When you visit all the districts in Uganda, the few that I've gone to, there is a town with a good number of people that are running serious businesses. Almost every district in Uganda. There are some towns that have serious businesses, serious houses, serious people doing a lot of businesses running around. Then you'll again go deep into the villages and you find that Uganda you're talking about who looks not to even afford a meal.
Yes. Now,
why do we have those two people in the same country?
Because certain people are, of course, when a nation is dealing with people, even it's like if you're in a class and you're the teacher, there are some people who will understand even before you speak. Okay, those are not your main concern, because those ones, you know, are sharper. And even those people whom you say are doing businesses, they could do much better. It is still small scale businesses. I want us to think about the way our neighbors are moving, the speed at which our neighbors are moving. Where you have Tanzania saying they are going to become a middle-income country by 2025, and they are here this year. Okay, for us, we say this year we are nowhere close to it. We might actually even go if this NRM thing would continue. I would definitely reach 2025 when we are nowhere even close to it. So my issue is this. So things which are basic, like somebody running a proper business, selling this, doing that, those are basic things. Now, they are not people whom I can say at this grand scale of the business that we are talking about. Not maybe just one or two or three or four. In other words, you can count them on your fingers who are that grand scale of business where you say, now these ones should be expanding into East Africa and taking over the East African market and so on. Now, when you have people at that level, then these people here whom you say are doing good business, those should be like medium or even like almost lower level. So that the lower ones now are not struggling. So we have to uplift everybody from the bottom. But the thing is, even those whom we talk about who are surviving in spite of, rather than because of this government, they are very few. The ones whom you're talking about are actually the majority. And they're the ones where you go and you look at people and how they have, you know, a despondency written all over their face. You don't think they believe that anything is going to come out of this life. And they are being put in that state. And it's just because they don't have a government. They just have some thieves who have guns. And have government instruments of government. So these are the people.
It's a very high-handed description.
No, it is true, and I've said it everywhere I go. It might be high-handed for this station, but it is very true. That's what it is, and you know it. You know it because you go to places like I'll give you an example, Busoga, where they will come and tell people somebody from the first family wants to plant. They will not tell them that. They will just tell them this is supposed to be a forest reserve. It is not. Then they chase people out of square miles of land, and the next thing you know, somebody from the first family is planting sugarcane there. Do you think that's a government? Those are thieves with guns, and the sugarcane are guarded by people with guns. Then they go and they give the excuse of it's a forest reserve. Then they go to a real forest. Okay, which is now supposed to be gazetted there in Busoga called Butamira or something. Then they chop down the forest, even Mabira, even Bugoma for sugarcane. So are those people who love this country? Must you cut down a forest which has been there for decades, actually probably 100 years, and so to plant sugarcane? Do you really love this country? When you can think like that these trees, which have 11% of the world's bird species, okay? Seeing that birding is a $32 billion industry, and 11% of the world's bird species are in this forest. But for you, your brain tells you that that's where you want to plant your sugarcane. Are you even a Ugandan? Do you love this country? Are you, like, there's things which you cannot explain. They are inexplicable. And you say that at least let the leadership start by loving Uganda. Because they are not behaving like, they are behaving like a bad tenant whom you give your house to rent. And he says, since I'm paying my rent, let me destroy it the next day. Yes, and you find the plumbing system is down, the electricity is down, the wiring is down and everything. Because he doesn't care, it's not his house. That's how these people are behaving. Just taking out all the utilities and leaving absolutely nothing for the and this is the country to which we are bringing our children. So we have to think about these things. These are very important things we have to think about. So when I tell you that we just have thieves with instruments of power and guns, I know what I'm talking about. It's the truth. It might not be truth, which so many people will say, but it is the truth. And that's how they behave.
You have explained it. Taking you back to the poverty, government is doing a number of things. Operation Wealth Creation, NADS, to boost the agricultural sector, fight poverty, the Youth Livelihood Project, all those initiatives that are touching, kind of lubricating the way we get some money as the people in this country. Do you think they can't work? As somebody who says, you seem not to see all this. Why do you think it can't work, and why do you think poverty has persisted even when these kind of initiatives are
Those initiatives are like fighting corruption. They are just there for the news. They are not there for the purpose of actually fighting corruption. Because I was even hearing President now, like, even we'll defeat corruption, he has no interest. You see, the thing is, you have to want to do something for it to succeed. Now, I'll give you an example of the recent law which they passed governing coffee. They call it, that's what they use, regulating. Is the word they use when they want to control everything. Regulating the coffee industry. Now what it does is it takes away the liberty of farmers to sell their coffee to whosoever gives them the best prices, and creates governmental or system licensed middlemen who have the right to buy coffee from the farmers. That is the end of coffee as a means of wealth for the farmers. Because immediately the law passed, even farmers were going and telling, or rather, businessmen who go and buy the coffee, were telling the farmers, you sell us at this price, otherwise you'll be forced to sell to these people very soon at half this price we are giving you. Now, most of them were selling between 4,000, 4,500 a kilo. The minute the law passed, now it's down to 3,000. Why? Because the market force has been taken away. I have my coffee, you are giving me a good price, you don't have a license. I can't sell to you. Then Kabuleta comes, who has a license because it was given to him by somebody up in government.
Determines the price.
And then he says, I'm giving you this, and I have no choice. And now guess what? Those licenses are given to state functionaries who, after they have squeezed the farmer and made abnormal profits, they go and take a cut of that money to the people who gave them the license. That's how it works. So now, do you think a Myoga or wealth creation or NADS or what is meant to work when they are passing laws like that? It is not. That's just meant for, the cosmetic thing, to look good for certain media people to talk about this. Because when you're plundering a country like these people are, you have to come up with something to keep people active and give people hope. Because those communist people, where a lot of these people started that, they said a politician is a dealer in hope. So you have to keep some hope flagging hope in people's people's faces as you go ahead and do your sinister things. Okay, and if the people are losing hope, then you might be in danger of actually losing power. So you come up with something. So now these middlemen exist in everything, and they have destroyed the livelihoods of farmers, because it starts with I'll give you an example. So somebody is buying coffee at 3,000 shillings a kilo, dried coffee, selling it at 9,500. Now the farmer who planted it, who plucked it, who dried it, who put it in sacks and washed it for a whole year, gets 3,000 shillings. A middleman who has just waited for that to come and gets it and transports it away somewhere, maybe in Mombasa, and loads it, gets 6,000 shillings, 6,500 shillings. So what happens? The farmer becomes discouraged. And that's what has happened for everything. Ask how the Busoga farmers have become very disillusioned of Busoga sugarcane farmers, disillusioned. Even the cotton and coffee farmers, same thing, middlemen. Okay, ask how all the other farmers, middlemen, and it's in every single area, every single sector, and it affects everybody. Now, just by removing those middlemen and creating a proper system in which the farmers get their due, they are not lazy. They aren't. If they were just given their proper due. Now, I was in Kasese, and I asked those people there, how much do you sell cotton? Because they sell a lot of cotton in that place, that Rwenzori region. He told me we sell at a kilo at 1,900. I told him that, what's the best price you've ever gotten for your cotton? He said, before the 2006 elections, we got 3,000 shillings for a kilo. And he said, we made money, we were rich, just 3,000 shillings. The same cotton is being sold for 6,500. Just across here. But when they gave them 3,000, he said, we were rich, children were going to school, people were, getting mabati for their houses. It was good money, and yet it was not even the best they could give them. And yet it only lasted a very brief period. So, and you tell me that Kabuleta doesn't know how to make those people rich.
Now, what does your manifesto now have to solve the poverty problem in relation to all that you've shown us?
Okay, there are different things. Now, I'm going to rush through them very fast. Yes. So, maybe you mention sector by sector and give me 2 minutes.
Let's concentrate on poverty and the economy,
because
the economic line.
First of all, agriculture. I've told you. Three major problems with agriculture here. First of all, land grabbing. A lot of people have land, they don't have land titles, and it's a very, very big problem. And they have tried to get land titles and they don't give them, because these people make it very difficult for people to have land titles, because that makes them vulnerable and their land can be grabbed anytime.
You have no power to
You have no power. Exactly. Even when they steal your land, you go to court, it takes 10 years, 20, many people die in the process of waiting for justice. So that is a big problem, land grabbing. So we solve that by actually titling all the land. Giving titles to people who have land which has no dispute. And even when the land has a dispute, we create a judicial body to go there and solve disputes at the districts. Okay, where people say, this is where you are quarreling, you have a surveyor, district surveyor, come and survey the land and say the truth is your land ends here and this one lands end here. So you get a judicial ruling, and then you go and get your land title. So that now solve the issue. And then people have security of their land. That's the first thing. Secondly, knowing what to plant. Because some people, now NADS has been, I would say even deliberate, telling people to plant weird things in weird places. You go to Fort Portal and tell them to plant pineapples, they can't grow there. Their soil is not made for that. Then you go to places where pineapples would grow and you tell them to plant tea. And yet, tea can't grow there. So, and you don't know is this just they don't know, or is it just a process, part of make people poor, which really this regime is all about. So number one, the land problem solved. Number two, what people should grow. Then bringing back the cooperative societies and saying that before even we tell you to go and plant sugarcane or coffee or cotton or tea, we enter into a contract with the cooperative society on how much they will give you per kilo. Okay, so when you plant your coffee, we tell you we are giving you 6,500 per kilo.
Before it is
even plant it with confidence. Then
and there are speculations of price fluctuations.
That's why people need the backing of government. Those cooperative societies are backed by government, but even then the price fluctuations do not fall way below that. You understand? They cannot fall from 9,500 to 6,500, and then there is even a gap there. Even after we've given them good money, there is a gap there which will be tax, okay, and which will be for handling, but will also be some form of tax. You understand? So then we bring 71% of Ugandans who are, okay, they actually 80% of Ugandans who are off the income tax, grid. They do not appear there at all. It's only 20% who are on the income tax grid. Imagine if we got those people, created those cooperatives, got for them market, because what the cooperative does is takes away the burden of market from the farmer. Now imagine if we told the farmer, don't have to worry about markets, we'll do that for you, we have an organized system. Then suddenly, but then for that you're going to give us our 20%, or 18%, but still You're getting a much more money, almost twice what you were getting before, you understand?
It's really applicable.
What's not applicable about it? Tell me what sounds difficult. First of all, it once existed.
It sounds so...
Let me tell you what, no. And that's what the problem. When you've been in an abusive marriage for 35 years, and you hear that somebody takes his wife out for dinner, then buys her gifts, and then remembers her birthdays and anniversaries, then you say, man, that is utopia. No, it's not utopia. It's how it's supposed to be. It's just that for you are in a fake thing. So there's nothing, and cooperatives exist in Kenya. And because of that, the farmers are rich. Kenyan farmers have savings of $6 billion in their cooperatives. $6 billion.
As an individual farmer?
No, farmers generally, the cooperatives. $6 billion. That's a lot of money. That's half of Uganda's budget. Okay? $6 billion, just Kenyan farmers. So
why do you think our cooperative unions do not?
They were killed on purpose. They were destroyed on purpose. There's only one which is still surviving. Yes, and they are fighting it like no man's business. Fighting it left, right, center. But thankfully, those people have been resilient and they have refused to be brought down. But then, there should be one in every region. There should be one in every area. There should be one in Teso, there should be one in Bukedi, there should be one in various places of Buganda, various places of Bunyoro, Toro, and everywhere, dealing with the produce there. And in a short time, 3 years, people are beginning, life is back. People are beginning to have money. And that's my target, to make sure in 3 years, nobody has no money for school fees, has no money to take children to hospital, has no money to go and enjoy themselves, basic things. Who is working, you understand? But that's just in the farming sector. Now, imagine somebody has a contract. He has, let's say, 20 acres of maize, of coffee. He has a contract with the government, we are going to buy it at this. If he wants a loan, he can go with that contract and go and get a loan from the bank. Okay?
He does his things as he waits for
Yes, as he waits for his money. If he wants a loan. Because there is this contract. The government and the cooperatives is going to buy this maize from you at this amount. So the bank has come and say, okay, we can estimate, maybe you're going to get this amount of maize, we can give you this amount of money. And so on. So they are back in the game. You understand? They are back in. Now when he brings his maize or his coffee or whatever it is he brings, you wait. He sees how much it weighs, you give him his money immediately. You give him a draft, he goes to the bank and gets his money immediately. And then you go and market these things. Other countries do this.
You say that is the situation in Kenya?
Yes, that's what cooperatives do in Kenya. And the farmers are rich. Do you know Kenya people move from university to farming? Because you can make much more money there than you can make in a white collar job. And now, and they don't even have the advantages we have. Imagine, we have 2 crops in a year. They have 1. You know that. You know that. Kenya, you plant maize once, you harvest once in 1 year. Here you do it twice. Yes. This year, there have been places where they've had 3 crops of maize in 1 year. 3. That's unthinkable in Uganda. But we are importing foodstuffs from Kenya. Why? Because we are disorganized. You can't explain. I saw one of our imports was groundnuts from Tanzania, and recently rice. How can we import rice from Tanzania? Tanzania, less than half of their land is arable. Ours, 85% is arable. We have half of East Africa's arable land, but we are importing foodstuffs.
What do you think about our mindset as the citizenry in this country?
Now,
just a minute.
Yes, our mindset.
Do we look at agriculture as...
It was killed when this government came in power. Everybody was seeing agriculture as a means. People were earning off coffee, were earning off cotton, were earning off tea, were earning off all these things. Okay, I grew up in Kinyara in Masindi, where people were earning off sugarcane and having good lives. I'm not talking about bad lives. I'm talking about people driving small cars, were taking children to school. Life was good.
Not in the main city, but
no. Kinyara is 12 kilometers away from Masindi. Somewhere, and it was really rural. Of course, now because of urban, but that time it was really rural. Maram roads are not white collar people. That's also very important to us, for the youth, in skilling, in using different industries, okay, and turning our education in a way that is going to be producing people whom we need. For instance, this is one of the major things in my manifesto is tourism. Way up there with agriculture. We do not have a course here in our universities which trains people about the tour, opportunities we have in this place. So people come out, there's a huge opportunity in tourism. World Bank estimated we can make $10 billion from tourism. $10 billion. But we don't have people being trained in tourism. So What if
it's a Bachelor of Tourism material?
No, okay, first of all, there's not enough training, but secondly, even the kind of training there. So now when somebody comes from there, can he go and be a proper tour operator? Most of them learn on the job. So we want it to be practical, okay, where people come and do this and study this thing, and because that's going to be an industry, a whole industry. $10 billion is a lot of money, whichever way you look at it. That's going to be a whole industry. Now, all these other industries that we are creating, where we have training that suits there, then we have to also create something of a minimum wage, because I have seen, especially in urban areas, Jinja here, Kampala and so on, and even other places, where a young man goes and works in a factory, foreign owned, from morning up to evening, and is paid 2,000 shillings. That is not a living wage. That is slave labor. That's slave labor. How do you survive off 2,000 shillings in a day? It is absolute slavery. We cannot allow that. We cannot allow foreigners to come and make slaves of Ugandans. I will not allow that in my government. Just know that Ugandans have to feed a partaker. So now we have to come up with a minimum wage. So even if investors are coming here, they have to know that if you employ somebody, there is a minimum of what you can pay them, so that at least they have a minimum wage. Okay, sorry.
Yes. Do the politics of the times really favor you? You are an independent man facing a political party that has been in power for 34 good years. In the same race, you have other parties. DP is 60 years old in the business. You have the FDC that has been taking an attempt for 20 years now. Here you are as an individual. The other party is NUP, but it's a party, it's not a one man. How are you going to sail through to the top of all these guys?
I'm not a one man either. What makes the difference is just the registration of a party, which of course they would not let me do. And there are very few people whom they would let register a party. I'm not a one man either, by the way. And the politics of the country favors me, because people don't vote parties. People vote individuals. Okay. We have not come to the place where people are voting parties, because even the parties don't have ideologies. What's the ideology of NRM? It's the ideology of Museveni. Pure and simple. How long would NRM survive if Museveni was not around? I don't think for very long. Okay? Now, actually, the other parties which you can see maybe are building a structure, building what, but they're still lacking a bit in ideology. Now, people vote people. You understand? People relate with people. Even in bigger democracies, okay, than ours, you find so many party people switching because of an individual. So you find, let's say, even in America, there are so many people who would say, I identify myself as, let's say, Republican, but maybe I don't like that person, so I'm going to vote. So people vote people. You can never take away the connection between people. So parties are just a structure through which things are done. But the politics favors me, because I'm making it about issues. And now the funny thing is that Ugandans are ready to listen to issues. They are ready to listen to what...
You see an electorate that listens.
Oh, they do. They do. Now that's the thing. They do.
In Uganda?
Yes. Because they ask questions. Now, not... Actually, mostly outside of the urban centers. The so-called... when I came out, people were saying you appeal to the elite. I said, no, the elite actually are the ones who hate me the most. Okay? I appeal to the people who are elite, because they're the ones who ask me the real questions. Now, the people who are asking me about what are you going to do here? How are you going to do this? They are asking hows. They are not asking why don't you belong to this party or what. No, they're saying, what are you going to do? And tell us how. And then you will be shocked at the number of questions those people ask. Why is Ugandan money losing value every now and then? We can't see, the money has no value whatsoever. You will not get that in urban places. You get it in the villages. And you're wondering, this is what you should get from elite. They are not asking that. The elite actually, I don't know.
Maybe the elite already know the answers to that.
No.
So they get to ask you how you're going to have a wholesome solution to whatever is happening.
No. By the way, the answers, when people ask, it's not that they don't have the answers. It's that they want to hear your answers. Okay. So I expect questions based on what are you going to do. So if you ask me what would you do for agriculture, I'm sure you have your ideas.
How easy is it for you to be sworn in 2021 and Museveni becomes history in as far as presidency of Uganda is concerned?
In everything, there's nothing I'm doing that has Museveni as a feature in it.
But he is the current president.
He is yesterday's
and
news.
He is a candidate as well.
He's yesterday's news. Just take it from me. He's yesterday's news. And the thing is, he has projected his leadership by giving this image of invincibility. He is very weak in every way you can think. Okay? He's very weak. He has very little support. I've been in places where he has just been, and people are cursing. They don't have anything to do with him. He is so scared of COVID. He talks to people at almost a mile length, and he's in a world of his own. You understand? So there is very little connection.
To some people, it looks
between him.
Wrong that actually they think you people should get together with one candidate in order to have something done.
Let me tell you, that's way of thinking. The person behind that one candidate is actually Museveni. Okay, because I don't understand how people can be stupid enough to think that if there are people who are going to vote for Kabuleta, Kabuleta leaves and tells them vote for that person and they will vote for that person. No, people are individualistic. They might vote for me because they want me. Now, do you know what happens in certain areas, especially in Western Uganda and even some places? I was shocked to learn that even in Northern Uganda he was getting like 60%. Okay? In West Nile he was getting in those ranges. Do you know what happens if they don't like the person who the so-called opposition has come up as the viable candidate? Many of them gravitate back to where they came back from. People, and now as a result of that, guess who is the winner from that single candidate? Let me tell you, why do you think that a single candidate is going to solve the problem when the man has the least percentage he has gotten, okay, of course, cheated elections and so on, but is 58%. So if you got 58% as the least he has ever gotten, even if all the other candidates combined, they will not stop him. So why do you want them to combine? The issue is, how do we stop him from getting 50%? That's why now we say we need as many candidates as possible. Imagine if Besigye was there, all the people who are there, they take parts from where he was getting those percentages. Where would he get the 50% from? Now, when you've taken slices away from, because basically you take a lot of slices from the West, okay? Then, you know, different people take from different places. Then, after that, where does he get the 50% from? He would not. When everybody is in, I'm saying even now.
This is a strategy as well.
It's the best, it's the only strategy. Now, when he has failed to get 50%, then we can, and there is a rerun. That's when we can talk of
having one person.
Yes, of course. Even in any case, that time I think it's inevitable. You have to the two people who have been, you know, the highest. So then we can. But now you're combining, because last election basically you got 35%, 35, 36. Yeah. The only other person who got more than 1% was a Mama Mbabazi, who got 1.5%. Okay, 1.5%. So the rest were under 1%. So now tell me, 36%, 1.5%, 0.0.0. How does that stop Museveni from being president?
Thank you so much, Joseph Kabuleta, for all the time and whatever we have shared. We wish you the best in your endeavors, and definitely these 2 cameras or 3 or more will be with you at Kololo as you'll be swearing in.
Thank you very much.
Yes. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa. He's one of the presidential candidates. We have had a number of them, and we're still getting more. We have to hear from them. This is a platform where they have to talk to you who is going to vote. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the next program. Till next time, bye-bye.